Hey everyone, Jeff here from Films at Home, and today we're diving into the world of Pandora and Avatar on 4K Blu-ray. Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the channel today, and I'm very excited that we're reviewing Avatar because this is maybe not only the most anticipated 4K UHD Blu-ray release of 2023, but possibly one of the most anticipated releases of all time. People have been asking me when I was going to film this review, when I was going to get this done, when is this releasing? This has been a question since I started on YouTube, and finally I have in my hands the Avatar 4K UHD Blu-ray from Disney. So we're going to talk quickly about the movie itself because many other people have covered that, and then we'll dive into a breakdown on the picture quality, comparing it to the Blu-ray release and to the Disney Plus stream, because there are some differences there that you have to note. We'll talk audio, we'll talk packaging, special features, different cuts of the film, what's available here, and then ultimately give you a recommendation on whether or not this one is worth picking up for your collection. So to kick things off on the movie briefly, I don't know if this will come as a shock to some people. I think I've been kind of vocal about this, but Avatar is not my favorite movie by any means. I just never really vibed with it when it came out. I didn't really like it. When I saw Avatar: The Way of Water, I was still kind of like, okay, I'm not in love with this series. I don't know. I just never truly connected with Avatar. The story felt very generic to me. A lot of people say it's basically Pocahontas with blue people, right? Which I kind of get. I think it's a little more complicated than that, but it's the technical effects for sure. They were incredible in 2009. They were incredible in 2022 when this sequel came out. What James Cameron has done with these movies is nothing short of amazing. He's pushing boundaries. I've just never connected with the characters, the stories. I just don't care about the Na'vi in this whole story the same way that I care about, the Fellowship in Lord of the Rings, or the same way that I care about, Luke Skywalker and Leia and Han in Star Wars. I just never connected with that core group, so I haven't really been into the movies, but I know there are lots of super fans. They obviously print money at the box office, and I can, even not liking the movies, say with full honesty that the technical aspects of all of these are pretty incredible. Now, Avatar's here for the first time ever in 4K UHD with HDR, and this is all based on a new 4K HDR and 3D remaster that James Cameron did in anticipation of the sequel's release. They put this back out in theaters. So this was supervised by James Cameron. He looked over it. It was completely redone for HDR coloring. It was put out in theaters in 3D with a high frame rate and some variable frame rate there. You're not getting any of that craziness on the disc with the variable frame rate. Blu-ray can't do that. The disc either needs to be 24 or 60 frames per second. So there's no variable frames per second here, no variable frame rate. But you do get this new HDR color grade, and you get a new 4K scan. Now, if we look at this versus the Blu-ray, which I have here in my collection, the old Blu-ray Collector's Edition, the biggest difference is immediately the HDR. The colors on this are pretty mind-blowing. The blues are so bright. They're so much more vibrant than what you could get on Blu-ray. That's just HDR for you. And James Cameron mentioned when talking about this remaster that when Weta, the company who did all of the effects for this film, actually rendered all of those effects, they rendered them in high dynamic range. So they were already ahead of the curve. They were doing things in HDR. So this was simply kind of flipping a switch, turning that on, and maybe playing with the adjustments a little bit. But they were ready for it, and you can tell because flipping that switch to HDR, it's really mind-blowing. Now, when you talk about like the detail of the disc here and the quality of the picture, the 4K is really good. What it does do is it exposes some of the lower resolution CGI. I talked about this with The Way of Water, again, when I reviewed it on Disney Plus, but when you have a human who's shot in very high resolution against a backdrop of 2K CGI rendered characters, that can be a little bit jarring. All of the scenes where it's primarily CGI, it's Na'vi on Pandora, they look great. The minute you introduce humans, it goes a little bit uncanny valley. It looks like Halo to me. That's kind of what I always think of. I was a big Halo player when I was younger, and I always look at this and go, this is a video game. This is Halo. This is what that looked like. So the scenes that are great, but the 4K does expose some more of that sort of low-res CGI, which is to be expected. So it just doesn't blend as well as the Blu-ray, but it is a much much higher quality picture. The detail is outstanding, and the Blu-ray is really good, but this takes it to the next level. So no complaints there. It's just that with better picture quality and better detail on some of the images, when you do dip down to lower rendered CGI, there starts to be a noticeable difference there. But thankfully, even though Disney has not done this on any other releases, at least in a very long time, they did use a 100 gigabyte disc here. So Disney has been using 66 gigabyte discs, and that can really compress films down. It's not a whole lot more space than an HD Blu-ray at 50 gigs, right? So that can be a problem with some Disney Blu-rays, is a little bit of compression, low bit rates. But James Cameron's James Cameron, and he gets what James Cameron wants. And if he wanted a 100 gig disc in the highest bit rate possible, they were going to give it to him, and they did. So it's a 100 gig disc. It's really high quality. You don't have to worry about compression here, even though the movie's nearly 3 hours long. I think it fits fairly well on this disc with a really solid bit rate and really great quality. So I had no issues at all with that, and I'm really happy to see they used a 100 gig disc here. Now, the other comparison point we have to talk about when it comes to picture quality is HDR, specifically Dolby Vision HDR, because on Disney Plus, if you watch Avatar in 4K, you get Dolby Vision HDR. If you're watching here on this 4K disc, you do not get Dolby Vision. You just get HDR10. Disney does not have a license to put out Dolby Vision on physical media. They just haven't paid for it, haven't cared to do it, but they do have one for streaming. So this has been a major difference with Marvel's movies, with all the latest Disney cartoons and animated films, and it's an issue again here with Avatar. However, I will say that it's not a huge difference. I watched Avatar on 4K Disney Plus on a couple of different TVs, both with Dolby Vision, turned the Dolby Vision off, still was kind of similar. But if you really look at the 4K disc, that quality of the disc is just so much higher than what a Disney Plus stream can give you. And it's not like they're IMAX enhancing it on Disney Plus like they do with some Marvel movies. It's not like you got a 66 gigabyte disc where the compression is a little bit closer. This is a 100 gig disc with great HDR. And honestly, the Dolby Vision, it just doesn't add that much for me. You're getting a far better experience on the disc than you're getting on Disney Plus. Yeah, a couple moments might be a little bit brighter or a little bit more vibrant. I don't know. I could go back and forth. Honestly, placebo effect there to a certain degree, just because I'm thinking Dolby Vision. This looks fantastic on disc, and there's no comparison when it comes to the compression and the detail of the picture. The 4K disc is the clear winner. Now with the audio, we do get a Dolby Atmos track here, which is another exciting upgrade over what was available on Blu-ray, and it's pretty good. This is, I would say, not your typical Disney Atmos, and again, I think that has to do with who's involved here. James Cameron's involved. James Cameron's going to make it right. There's a reason this took so long to come out on disc. It had to be perfect in his eyes, which isn't always the right thing, Terminator 2, but in this case I think he did the right thing, and the Atmos had a pretty good kick to it. One of the areas where Disney Atmos always lacks is on the lower end, and I thought that I got a lot more lower end activity here. When some of the big tanks and the big military equipment starts rolling across the runways, that boom is pretty solid. When they're flying their little, helicopters, whatever you want to call them, aircopters, their little hovercraft machines, that's pretty solid, and the music sounds great. I thought the dialogue for some reason was a little bit on the muted side. I did pump up my volume just a couple ticks, but that was my only minor complaint. Everything else sounded pretty good, and it sounded like they made good use of the Atmos track, which Disney doesn't always do. Sometimes it's sort of I call it a marketing gimmick, right? You're just putting the name out there, but it's not in full effect. But I think it was here. I definitely had a much better experience than most discs. This lines up with some of I wouldn't call this like a top 10 Atmos disc, but it lines up with some of the better Atmos sound out there, and I thought it was a really good sound experience. So it's definitely an upgrade over the 1080p Blu-ray when it comes to sound, and it's definitely an upgrade over Disney Plus. The Disney Plus Atmos is not real Atmos, if you ask me. It's a compressed, lossy version of Atmos. This is true Dolby True HD, lossless audio, full-on Atmos on the disc. You're only going to get it here on the disc. No streaming platform can give you that, and that's the quality that physical media enthusiasts and home theater enthusiasts are going to look for, and I'm happy to report that it is here in full effect. So, picture quality, great. Audio quality, great. The AV specs on this are really, really solid. Now, let's talk packaging, let's talk special features, because this is one area where I think hardcore collectors and physical media enthusiasts and fans of this movie might want a little more. So I actually like the packaging. I like a white slipcover, really clean, has nice artwork, redid the artwork. It's got some info on the back with some additional artwork, got the A on the side, nice spine, like overall nice. On the inside, you've got the same artwork, and then kind of annoyingly, rather than doing a tray that you could actually put a third disc on, they stacked discs. So actually the 4K was on this side and a special features disc was stacked underneath it and the Blu-ray was over here. I swapped them because I don't want my 4K disc getting scratched. That's more prone to scratches, but it still means that you have stacked discs, which personally drives me nuts. I find it a little bit lazy. It's one extra piece of plastic and a little disc tray in there, and you could have had a full collector's set with 3 discs without needing to stack them. I just don't like to put one disc on top of another. You're asking for scratches. So that's a personal pet peeve of mine. But it's great that there is a third special features disc, and there's over 3 hours of bonus features, including a couple of new behind-the-scenes features, which were not on any previous releases. So those include Memories from Avatar, which is a look back with the cast, Sigourney Weaver, Stephen Lang, Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, John Landau. Avatar, a look back again with the cast and filmmakers reflecting on making the movie, the groundbreaking tech. And then there's like Capturing Avatar, which is a full-length documentary, which is very cool with James Cameron. And then a bunch of different featurettes. There are 17 different featurettes. I could give you a full list here. It's a whole bunch of behind the scenes stuff, most of them 5 to 10 minutes long. So that's really good, right? 3 hours plus of bonus features is great for a Disney catalog release. It's great for any release. That's a lot of features, but it's missing some stuff. So if we look over here at the Blu-ray Collector's Edition, the first thing it's missing is the extended version of the film, which is on this Blu-ray set, is not on this 4K. That adds about 16 minutes of additional footage. So you're not getting the extended cut here. It doesn't exist on 4K. It is in the collector's set. This also includes the alternate opening on Earth, which is an exclusive here. This also has Capturing Avatar, which is a feature-length documentary, and it's got 45 minutes of deleted scenes. It's got interactive scene deconstruction. It has the 17 featurettes, and then it has the art of Avatar with over 600 images. This set has 8 hours of never-before-seen material. It has 45 minutes of deleted scenes. It just simply has a lot more content, plus additional cuts, alternate openings, things that unfortunately did not make their way to the 4K. So hardcore fans out there, your best AV experience is going to be the 4K disc, but you're not getting the best collector's experience by buying this. It is lacking 5 hours of features, and it's lacking a lot of other things like those extended cuts and photo galleries. So overall, if you want the best picture quality and you want the best audio, the 4K disc will get you that. But if you're a real super fan of Avatar and Pandora and everything James Cameron is building, this Blu-ray is the better set. And it's funny because, of course, we know Disney does this, but Ultimate Collector's Edition along the bottom, this is not that. That is actually the most misleading use of Ultimate Collector's Edition that I've ever seen, because there literally is an Ultimate Collector's Edition, which is not this. You've already done this. It's already happened. Granted, this was Fox. This is Disney. There's a different emphasis. This is also 2010, 11, whenever that release came out. Totally different ballgame for physical media. So things have changed, but you can't call this the Ultimate Collector's Edition. This is the Ultimate Home Theater Edition. This is the Ultimate AV Edition. It's not the Ultimate Collector's Edition, and that's something that I think is super important for people who buy this. You may want to keep your old Collector's Edition because it just has a lot more content that you're not getting here. So that's my complete review and breakdown of Avatar on 4K. Hopefully that was helpful. I went into real depth here because there's a lot to talk about. There's Disney Plus and the differences there. There's the collector's edition. There's the special features differences, the extended cuts. There was a lot to cover, but I wanted to be comprehensive. So hopefully this helps you make a buying decision. Whenever, camp you fall into, you can't really get a bad Avatar experience on physical media. It's a really good experience no matter what. But if you want to pick up this 4K and you want that best AV picture quality, and maybe you already have the collector's edition, which you can just hang on to, which I probably will do, then it's a great release. It's really solid. It's a great remastering job by James Cameron. And I didn't see this in theaters, but I have a feeling that it probably looks just about as good as it looked in theaters at home. So it was very exciting to watch this again and kind of relive it. It's not my favorite movie in the world, but it sure is a visual treat and it looks awesome. So if you want to grab this, I'll put a link to Amazon down in the description in the pinned comment. Buying through there or pre-ordering helps support my channel, so as always, I appreciate that. If you want to make sure you're updated with all the latest on physical media, 4K Blu-ray, collecting topics, you found the spot right here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video so we spread the word about physical media, and of course, make sure to follow me on social media and check out all my partners. Those links are in the video description as well. But thank you for watching this. I know it was a little bit longer than most reviews, but I had to cover it all. Wanted to be comprehensive, and I will get to The Way of Water very soon. I did review the Disney Plus stream, but we'll be taking a look head-to-head with 4K Blu-ray versus 4K Disney Plus. So stay tuned for that one coming soon. But thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy out there, and I'll talk to you all soon.